I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, bitch, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters, and we ain't got nothing to hide.
What up, and welcome into Pregaming here on Sports Money, Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. Best place to be to get all that late breaking news, injury updates, cash flow splits, trends, best bets from the chat, and all the rest. We got a new week ahead of us. We got to get some new money, man. It's been a tough couple of weeks with this tournament, and favorites continue to reign, man. I can't believe what I'm seeing with my own two eyeballs. Parlay bettors banging favorites are crushing it. I just can't believe the day that we're having here, the day and age that we're in, where it's just monstrous favorites on top of favorites on top of favorites. Couple dogs. Spread lines are difficult. Maryland, big controversy in that Maryland game out there with the traveling that wasn't traveling. Apparently now they're going to redefine it. You get like 3.5 steps, which, that's on Maryland. They didn't cover. You know, I believe in the cover or GF philosophy. After the 8-minute mark, I'll tell you exactly what the GF philosophy means. But it's go time, you guys. Appreciate everybody coming back in, circling the wagons as we do here. We got a busy week coming up. Hey, we got UFC Mexico on Saturday. Boys are already talking about some plays out there. We've got the UFL. That'll start on Friday. Going to get into that again this year. Didn't play too much UFL last year, but I know I made some money when I did. So we'll get back to some United Football League. We've got Major League Baseball. Oh, yeah, by the way, the most profitable sport we have starts on, I believe it's Thursday. We'll start Major League Baseball, the real start to the season here. Dodgers and Cubs already played a 2-game header over in the Japan series, but it's homeland, baby. We're on American soil. Going to be fun to talk about baseball this season. Expect some videos to come out there as well. Going to release a video series on hitting props. Going to give you some best bets throughout the early. Baseball is predominantly an early sport. What else do we have going on? We've got soccer. We've got women's college basketball. I can't believe I'm saying it, and I'm saying it with a smirk on my face. But Subhuman Gacho and I have been red hot right now, texting back and forth about some of these games here. Just cashed an easy one with Oklahoma State. See, I gave that one to Sub. Sub hooked me up with a little under in that Michigan State. What else we got? What else are we sweating on here? Oh, Texas and Illinois. Big spots out there. College, women's college, heating up. I got a couple looks for tonight. I can't in just mind break these games down for. I just tell you what I'm looking at. I'll tell you what I'm looking at. We can use some cash flow splits to try to fill the gap because we do have a smaller card. It's a smaller NBA card. It's a smaller NHL card. I think there's like 4 or 5 games in the NHL. So I got a 3-pack. I got some big trends with the 3-pack for us out there. Hockey continues to be our dominant sport. We've got 2 NBA games. We'll take the Lakers in Orlando. We'll take Chicago and Denver. Yeah, there's some games out there. I'll tell you, I parlayed the Raptors over and the Timberwolves over. A sneaky little suspicion that plus 267 will get us home for some cash, but tough card, man. It's a pretty full card, I guess, now that I look at it here, but the Celtics coming off that win. Do we go back after these guys in the late night spot? The Bucks and the Suns have been an under festival between those two squads, especially in the situation that the Suns find themselves in. The Sixers and the Pelicans. Does anybody care if that game gets played? Probably not. Harold Jones says NBL is coming. Absolutely. And what else? What else do we have? Well, we had a big Saturday, again, as we do with these UFC streams. The main card, I think I'm going to have a new rule. I think I got to stop betting the first fight. We all laugh. Oh, you lost the first fight again. it's real money. Even if it's 25s and 50s, it's still real money. I mean, when we get to the main card, we're firing away thousands, but it sucks. It sucks. I could save myself so much time and effort just not bothering with like the early prelim card. I joked about it on Saturday. I was like, I see why guys don't go to the big events to watch the early prelims. I love watching them, and I want to have money on them, but enough is enough. I'll tell you what's not enough. Checking out our guy, Fanatical Jim, with his BetStamp account. Fire. I messaged him earlier today. Did you leave any money for the rest of us? His Sunday was on fire. He was out there cooking them books, as he does. Healthy card, lots of plays, lots of cash. And that's what we expect. That's what we expect here out of the squad with Sports Money as we continue to build and move forward. Golf, okay. Got a couple spots in there. Nothing too tremendous, but we fight. We pick ourselves up. We dust ourselves off. And we go after. We got about 11 games left in the NHL till the playoff run. We've got, probably the same amount in the NBA. I think we got about the same amount in the NBA before we get to the playoff run. And men's basketball will resume for the big boys. The big tournament continues again on Thursday. So we got 3 days in between. Going to do some refresh. Going to try to update some graphics. Going to look at this football league. Going to look at Major League Baseball so that we're up and ready to go for opening day. And we're in show mode here. Live show mode. My boy just texted me with this play that I'm going to tell. Because that's what we do when there's, frankly, just not a lot of action, right? Not a lot of action, but we need to get that action where we can. And Alabama in the second half is a minus 105. So we're going to pull up and fire on that right now. Courtesy of my boy. Doesn't like to get the shout out. He's a humble warrior. And you know how much we like those humble warriors? So let's go, you guys. Time to get in, roll the sleeves up. I'm not even wearing sleeves today. Tarek B says he sees a lot of overs in the NBA today. I kind of did too. In fact, I think I only have one under. In that Bucks game. That's the only under I saw here with the NBA today. So we got to go. We got to get moving. You know the deal. We got not a lot of time and a lot to do. So we got to get to work here. It's Monday. We start the new week. We got 5 plays to bang away with here on the card. We're going to look at what you guys have in store for us as well. We'll talk about some cash flow, some splits. If you guys have any questions on any of the NBA games, I'm just trying to be conservative here with the NBA. I mean, it's a tough spot. Like you got the Raptors and Wizards. Wizards probably win this game. The low number. How can you bet on the Wizards? I don't know. We'll keep that one in our back pocket. Dallas and the Nets. Caught some big Nets cash this Saturday live. You guys in the chat were firing away, giving us some plays out there. That was big. The Sixers and Pelicans, as I mentioned. When you start looking at the card, I'll tell you, the Sacramento Kings, I want to take the Kings. I do. I might pull the trigger late on the Kings. It's a Monday. It was a big public weekend. We got to see how the dust settles, where the opportunities lie, and get ready for a big week ahead. And the UFC Mexico card. I believe it's a 6:30 Saturday start. So we'll be back sort of to our normal time slot. And I think we have two more UFC cards until we get ourselves to a week off. I believe it's 2. So that's the way we're going to do it. We can't do anything, though, until you guys smack that thumbs up button for us. Cost you nothing. Helps us a ton. Promote this channel. We're viewer supported. We love the views. We love the likes. We love the members as well. So let's go. If you guys can do so, just take a second, smack that thumbs up button. We'll get this show on the road. How about that? Kindly appreciate you all taking the opportunity to do that for us, if you would. Redbeard says everybody's on the over in the Sixers game, but he likes the under. That's a tricky one. It's come way down. It has come way down. way down. I'm just looking at it. I mean, look, we could talk about a lot of trends tonight. In fact, maybe I'll try to pull some of these write-ups aside that I have and see if we can't leverage the best information here to try to make informed betting decisions. So I'm tailing my boy. I'm going to add that second half Alabama game. We might add another one too. Let me see. We got time. I think we're going to want to add this Dallas game. I don't want to be all over the map. We'll get to it momentarily. We do have ourselves a March Madness bracket going on here for our sports money members. Very interesting to see what's happening with this thing as well. Check it out. They got some new buttons here. Some new buttons on screen, courtesy of StreamYard. Let's see if I can find this. What's going on? What is going on here? All right, I see what the problem was. I sucked. I'm looking at the top. I'm like, why am I at the top? I sucked. Check this out. It's a tight race. 3 tied for first place. We got Bill Cox, Ramon Scott, and Algus. Some previous contest winners in there. Some duck race winners in there. And of course, Ramon Scott is in there trying to get that merch. 3-way tie for first place at 5-10, but it is a tight race. You'll see Duke and Houston are predominant favorites. Then we've got a group up here of 3 people tied for second place. We've got Tom Moore. We've got our guy Subhuman Gaucho and Stephanie Gallo tied in there. What I like about this one here is we got a little bit of operation. We got a little opportunity for some movement. Sub likes Michigan State. Stephanie Gallo likes Arizona. Then we get back into a tight field, a 2-way tie. Troy Sanders, good old Kongs Clips, and Ice Viking are tied for what ultimately is third place on paper, but battling for the middle of the bracket. So it's fun. TFO gets a break. So 2 things that we're sweating, but we're not really sweating. Maybe we'll sweat. I don't want to jinx myself here. I gave out some members plays today. Got to get back on the winning streak, man. You know, sometimes you got to battle and you got to dig deep. And that's what we did here. We took some TFO earlier today. He was plus 105. He's moved to plus 1,000. And now he's come back down as he takes a lead in the third set, breaking Arthur Phils at the ATP Miami. Boy, a plus 1,000 on TFO. Now he's minus 380. Could create a tremendous hedge opportunity, but I am no gardener. You look at my shrubs, you can tell just that. The other spot that we're looking at here is a little CBI action. I gave out the minus 4 and a half, I can't remember, for Cleveland State and Queens, North Carolina, Queens College. Right now, Cleveland State is up 64-17. And we've got a 15.5 point spread. 15.5. Gave out minus 4.5. We're at 15.5. Going to continue to do that. Want to give you guys more winning plays. Again, we're viewer supported. So you guys that do get the opportunity to upgrade to your silver or gold level memberships are very much appreciated. We want to shout you guys out as much as we can. Lots of gifted memberships fly around this place on the regular. But taking the time to go out there and just show a higher level of support just means that we want to give you guys some special opportunities out there. And hey, away we go. You know, we've got the UFC playbook. We'll get that updated. We'll get that ready to go again for you guys this week. Some bombs in there, some plus 400s. Man, I'll tell you, I thought probably the most interesting spot. And of course, I was trying to be contrarian, so I couldn't listen. Despite one mouth and 2 ears, I treated it the opposite way. Is both Some Human and Fanatical Jim getting messages from their sharp buddies on the UFC side of things, talking about that submission at plus 1,800. Impressive. Cash with no problemo. Lots of big plus money spots there on the UFC this weekend. So if you guys aren't watching the Saturday shows with the UFC, look, sometimes it can be tough. You know what you do? You put it on your phone and you turn closed captioning on. That way, at least you can see what's being said across the bottom of the screen, or pop an earbud in. Put it on low. You don't want to miss out as we go. You know, they are long streams, so we get it. 6.5, 7 hours do make it tough to... But that's the UFC, man. We're watching it anyways. We're betting it. We're giving you guys our best bets as we attack it. And it's time to attack this card. So let's get to work. I'll tell you, I was watching earlier today as I was watching some college hoops. I was listening to the I don't listen to the games. Sometimes closed captioning goes on, but I can't stand broadcasters. There's no nothing nonsense here trying to tell you how to gamble and just messes up the dome piece. So I had a little Shane Gillis from the Joe Rogan Experience on as I was laughing my ass off earlier today. So that is still up here. Let me close that. Some funny dudes, man. Some funny dudes. Okay. You know what's up. Get those best bets in the chat. Get that pen and paper out. You know you want to be writing down what our best guys and gals are doing here in the chat. Joe T's going to kick us off as he customarily does. And he's been on a nice little run. Jover has had a nice run, minus some whiskey blues. The Canucks and the Devils are over 5.5 for Jover's first play. I'll tell you what, we are aligned with that game. We are aligned, despite no official play. I like it. I like it a lot. I think you can get some good money on it. Both these goalies kind of stink. Shit, Bills just comes back with a break on the other side. That's what happens. I start talking. I swear to God, I jinx myself more than I care to admit. But here we go. Head-to-head Canucks, also 6 of 7 over 5.5. I had some other numbers that attest or validate that over wherever they are. Let me see where they are. Here they are. New Jersey, Vancouver. How about this one? It's a Monday. A home favorite off a home loss are 12-5 to the over. They had just a 10-8 run straight up. Not enough to come in there and say, okay, go take the Devils. 6-12 on the puck line, and they're losing the puck line by 1.4 goals on average. So lots of movement against them. I'll tell you, when I looked at this game, I thought, is anybody going to score? Can anybody score? Do we see ourselves in an overtime position for that game here? Like a nice 3-3 overtime certainly gets Jover his cash. And if I was looking at this overtime prop right now, it's a little different on the overtime front because, frankly, both these teams stink. So will it go to overtimes only plus 265? I guess that's in line with some soccer overs. I guess that kind of makes sense. But Jover's giving us the over as we attack. And our guy Gerald Jones is coming in here. Look at this. Our man is 25-15, and he's got the over. Sixers Hornets, he's going over 226. Redbeard says, good luck, fellas. Irish Kings in the house. Big Scott's here rocking with us. He likes the Devils minus 1.5 on the main card, though. There we go. I just couldn't. I hate both these teams. I hate a bunch of these teams on the card tonight. So I will, Big Scott, I will root for you, and I will root for Jover. Minus 1.5 and the over. For you boys, Mr. Tomatoes, maybe Perky, I'm not sure, but says, Pimp Mike, cheers. Joe W, cheers, Mike. Gerald Jones says, MLB is coming. Let's go, you guys. Good stuff. AOD in the house. He's ready to roll with us. Gerald Jones has had 10 out of 16 in bracket. Final four is still a lot. Look at this dude. Rocking, brother. You get yours, dude. Get that cash. Peter Grassi is here rolling with us. Keith from Each Every Stride says, had fun on Saturday. Some big cashers giving us the blessing tonight. Cameron Sinet says, anyone want to live bet on Ramon Scott to win the bracket tonight? I would not. I would have to back our guy, Ramon Scott. He is running so hot. Sports makes money. That's why he makes betting sports money every single day. If you know, Daddy Beats is in the house. Let's hit that like. Stop Geoengineering's here. Appreciate you guys all being ready to go. Able A. West up parlay is Lakers minus 4.5 and USC women minus 17. Bo Jackson thinks the Canucks can upset, but says the Devils are 3-0 on a Monday. At home. 7-1 on Mondays overall. Interesting. Very interesting. All right. I'm ready. Are you guys ready? Let's get this money. Let's get to making this money here. Short card, as I had mentioned before. But, of course, taking the time to smack that thumbs up button certainly equals the same whether it's a short card or a long card. Of course, we know the ACC has officially placed themselves on the shit list. Albeit Duke is looking pretty darn good. Florida had themselves a scare. Florida had themselves a scare. I got to be honest. I was kind of thinking, hey, if they slip, I'm back alive with a bracket because there was a lot of Florida action. Florida and Duke were the two biggest favorites picked across our community in the bracket challenge. Arkansas and Texas Tech are in play. What else do we have? BYU and Alabama. Thursday is going to be a lot of fun. Then we roll into Friday. Michigan State. There's subs Michigan State. Kentucky, Tennessee. Look, fade the narrative now. We all know that Tennessee's coach cannot win in March, but he somehow is there. There they are. And there's Michigan and Auburn. Some dark horse plays on Michigan now to go out there and pull the upset against number 1 in the land. And Purdue and Houston. Houston's defense. Maybe we see Houston's defense show up here for the later rounds of this tournament. They have been absent early, which I'm okay with. You know, the problem that Houston's had from years past, and I know a lot of our friends have some Houston futures tickets, is bottom line, they play so much defense, they just stop playing offense, and they get too consumed in trying to go out there and keep the other team from scoring, and it's affecting their ability to score. So we don't want to see that here. TFO live here. Ooh, plus 180. Eesh, we're going to need something. Come on, TFO. Get this set. Get this money. Lots of live bets there. Turnsey says, what do you think about the Stars game? We will talk about that one next. I got some great trends, I think, for both of these games. So let's go. Let's pop off Columbus and the Islanders. Somehow, the Islanders still find themselves playing for playoff opportunities. They'll go back to Merzlikins on the Columbus Blue Jackets side of things and Sorokin for the Islanders. I feel like we just talked about both these goalies last Friday, and I think we did. The Blue Jackets are on an 0-5-1 stretch right now. They are still alive. Nobody's put the nail in the coffin yet, is what it comes down to for the Columbus Blue Jackets. And I say it that way because, look, 0-5-1 in crucial get point season. Here's that young team factor where we know that these guys just really haven't seen a lot of games past 60 in their young careers. Merzlikins allowed 5 goals on his previous game, a 6-3 loss to the Penguins. We knew, and we've got this coming up again, Columbus gets on the road after a home spot. They struggle mightily, and they did again. That will come and play again later this week, so keep our eyes on that. Sorokin, now, interesting spot. I think the Islanders did a little forecasting. They knew they had the Flames against the West. The Flames are in a playoff hunt. They had just come off a loss. The Flames needed to come in there and pick up a W, and they did. It was a 4-3 win against the Islanders, but it was not Sorokin in goal. Sorokin got the night off, and he played phenomenal against the Canadiens. He had 38 saves on 41 shots. He's been sporting a .272 goals against average and a 90.7% save percentage. Thing about this one here is they've got the goaltender whisperer and Patrick Waugh on staff. I think that's a good enough advantage for this squad. But we're not going to stop there. We got a couple of looks as well. I mean, look, Blue Jackets on the road against a divisional opponent, against a divisional opponent, 2-8, getting busted up by over a goal and a half a game. 7-3 to the over, by the way. And the over is not just like scooting over by 0.2 goals. It's scooting over by a good, healthy 1.1 goals a game. So lots of plays to, I think, attack this game here. The way I took it was give me the Islanders, not back in the Blue Jackets. I think of these two teams, it's got to be an opportunity for the Islanders to push forward. You know, we've seen they've got some playoff components. They've still made some big trades over the last 2 years to try to beef themselves up for playoff contention. I see 5.5s, I see 6s, and I see 6.5s on the shit. Bills. As soon as I mention it. Men's tennis. Scumbags. Nonetheless, sorry for that breaking news. I did take the Islanders. I got the Islanders at minus 125 for today's game here between these two in playoff contention. I like the home team, and I want to fade the Blue Jackets on the road. There's a lot of different ways to fade the Blue Jackets when road games come into play. And I mentioned there's a couple of trends that will take place over this week. I think you could look at the over. I think you could look at, probably probably get away with both team totals over. Our public fade is on the over in this game. So I can't get there. Can't be playing a fade. I can play the minus 125, though. It's pretty widely available across the board. I see some 121s over at Pinnacle. It came down from 152. Playoff potential, realizing that both these teams have a lot on the line, but Islanders will open up my NHL card, you guys. What do you think? What do you think? There's Trisha M. Looking forward to Thursday. Marlins at 4 to start the season, and then the Gators at 7:30. Can the Gators survive after that near blow it? Big win at the end. Big win at the end. Kelly V says, time is perfect. Trisha M says, Hard Rock won't let me parlay the over with the Islanders. Probably got to go to same game parlay, would be my guess. Kelly V says, MLB bet. Texas first game. Boston 2 games in Mexico tonight. Kelly V says, New Jersey 8-2 in the series. I gotta think I would play the Devils. I don't know. The over 5.5's got a nice plus money price tag on it. A 5? I saw that 5. I was like, finally, we've seen a 5. You know, the thing with the Canucks game is Thatcher Demko is unconfirmed but expected. Jacob Markstrom will go on the other side of things, and the Devils are losing as well. 3 of their last 4 games. Markstrom, 3 or more goals in 4 of his last 5 games. What I liked about the over in this game, and Jover's on it for us here, is having your goalie come back here takes a little bit of time to adjust to the game speed, and that could be just enough. Now, I know the Devils, obviously, without Jack Hughes, but look, they still got Nico Heishire. They still got, they got there's a squad up and down the line. Obviously, the Elias Peterson situation for Vancouver was publicly embarrassing. They made the wrong choice in keeping that guy. But, look, not that long ago, we were talking about Timo Meyer. We were talking about guys like Mercer, Dawson Mercer, being a guy that can go out there and snipe it. Now, it's not juicy. They're not sexy names, but there's still some guys that can go out there and score on this Devils team. I think is enough to carry the water for those guys here, but not for me. I'm going to jump in on the other side. I think, fucking Phils. Hate to go 1-1. I mean, I guess it's better than 0-2, but it's not good enough. Abel A likes the Islanders money line with the Wild at plus 1.5 for a parlay. From Abel A. AOD wears his sunglasses at night. Okay. We're going to go to the Minnesota-Dallas game. This one was questioned by none other than Turnsey and how to get down with the getting down here. I'll tell you how I'm going to get down with this game. We've got Gustafsson and Ottinger. Surprisingly, Minnesota's on an 11-2 scoring streak over the last 3 games. I'm sorry. 3 games. Excuse me. I wrote that down wrong. 1, 2, 3. There it is. And why? Goalie stepped up. Surprisingly, despite some of the missing components for this Minnesota team, here they are firing. And Gustafsson, now here's the thing. We look at the overlay, right? He's 2.51 goals against average with a 91.7% save percentage on the season. 2.51, 91.7. He's 0.67, almost 2 full goals against better, and 97.6% in his last 3 games, 3-0. If ever there was a situation to buy on a team right now, especially at good plus money, you got to look at this Minnesota Wild team. It's come down a nickel from where it opened up. Fucking Bills. Sometimes I could just take this phone and right through the office window. But I've learned 2 things. 1, you shouldn't have that much money on it. And 2, I'm going to be the one that has to fix it. So there's no benefit in me tossing this phone through that window in frustration. On the other side of things here, Ottinger couldn't be in an exact opposite situation. I don't know about exact opposite, but he has struggled. 3-2 overtime win against the Flyers the other day. He made 22 of 24 saves. Mishkov, certainly the boys, the young squad in Philadelphia. Torts won't let him quit. So Do I want to go into that realm of things here? I mean, it's a tricky spot to play one way or the other, and I had to go to the playbook here. I got to go to the crystal ball. I got to look and see what's going on. Now, I mentioned with Minnesota, the big deal is Kiprasov, whatever. You know, I mentioned this like 3 weeks ago. Dude leads the squad in like every stat offensively possible. Playing time, shots on goal, regular strength goals, everything that you want out of this guy. And, you know, Joel Eriksson is another component that has hurt these guys. Just 11 even strength goals over the last 10 games. 1.1 goals per game. Where does that rank for a team that's playoff bound? And a lot of people thinking they had a chance to win the Stanley Cup just a year ago. Everybody was betting Dallas. It's dead last in the NHL. If it wasn't for their defense, they'd be getting nuked. That's just a fact. If you look at this Dallas squad up and down. On the other side, as I mentioned, the 11-2 outscoring streak on that side of things here. And, well, when you get a guy like Jake Ottinger, you're playing defensive hockey, regardless of if you're scoring. What are you finding? You're finding unders. 4 of the last 6 games for Ottinger have gone under the total. We just talked about how Minnesota and Gustafsson is out there playing the best hockey probably of his career when it matters the most. We can talk about some other trends as well. If you previously played the team and you had less than 3 power plays, you're coming off a win. Your opponent has the same or more rest. Well, look, I guess what it comes down to is in the rematch, you beat them at home. You didn't lose on the road. That matters. And that matters to the under. When you've got low power plays, low special teams opportunities, both these teams can benefit with key players missing from the lineups on, Heiskanen and Kiprasov. Unders make sense here. A 2-13 trend to the under. We've got some more under supporting trends with the Minnesota Wild when they're on the road against the division and a 5.5. They see the under as well. So the way I attack the game, 5.5. You can get some 6s. You pay up some 6s at -120. This is an under spot. We got goaltending battle, playoff teams, offense. Yeah, the Minnesota Wild's offense is firing, but take a look at who they've been playing on top of this thing here. When you see teams in the previous 3 like Colorado, even Carolinas or Floridas and Tampas, well, that's one thing. So let's take a look. They played Buffalo. They beat them 4-1. They played Seattle. They beat them 4-0. They played the Kings. They beat them 3-1. They have had themselves, by the way, a massive home stand. And where could the toughest place to be to play after a 7-game home streak? Probably on the road. Nonetheless, I think it's going to take a little bit of time to knock the road rust off them skates here. It's a bad schedule spot for Minnesota because they've got this game at home or on the road against Dallas. Then they go back home against Vegas and Washington for 2 of the toughest teams in the league to battle. I think this is a sleeper spot for Minnesota. I think Dallas comes through. But for me, I like the under 5.5. We'll see a low-scoring game here. Could it potentially be another overtime situation? Maybe. I don't like the schedule spot for Minnesota. That kept me off the side despite their current streak of heat. I think Dallas is just too good a team that's gone through a bad stretch right now to kind of hold them down here. And, overall, look, Dallas sports the better record. They've been going through a little tough spot. They've been playing defense as they get through it. That's the way you want to play. Got to focus on the net, keep them out of there to keep it rolling. And keeping it rolling, we will. We got one last game in the NHL. Subhuman likes Patrick Kane night at over 2.5 shots on goal and assist. I like the latter for Patrick Kane. Kelly D says, Dallas at home, good bet. Dallas in regulation. Turnsy says, I'm on the opposite side. Stars -1, seen so many people. I agree. I do agree with that. I wouldn't want a part of Minnesota in Dallas. That's a lot going on there. There's a lot to break down in that one. Hell, you got the Minnesota Stars, now the Minnesota Wild. There's that little component of it too. I don't think that matters for any of these players one way or the other. I just don't want to be involved or be invested on the Minnesota Wild side of things when you're missing your number one gun. And you've just come off a hot run. So no gun, hot run, pass. I'll take an under 5.5. Reasonable money. Reasonable cash flow on this game here. Not cash flow, but reasonable. Let's see what I got. Under 5.5. It's down to -110 -10s in some books, -109s. I got a 116. Meh. 3-2 overtime. I've said Dallas. When it comes to playoff time, Dallas is an overtime vessel. I could see that happening. Red Wings and the Utah Mammoth. Why the Mammoth? Because that's the only extension that they had of their previous 3 teams they went out there and tried to get trademark exemption for. The Mammoth is the only one that got extended. And it looks like a mammoth. It looks like a fucking elephant with tusks is what it looks like. They're going to have to do some better graphic design if that's the way they're going to go. Utah's catching steam. Jay Stone says Minnesota sucks. Not the last 2 games, but they do. They do have a tendency to souk, if you will. Okay, let's look at this last game on the NHL card. It's a late night special. And there's almost no love for Red Wings in this game. 12% of the cash, 24%. I'm sorry, 12% of the bets and 24% of the cash. And the books see it. They're eyeing it. They're scared about it. And they probably should be. I don't know. Look, 3 weeks ago, let's replay some time that we talked about this Red Wings team. We took a deeper dive and said, how could they have the highest expected scoring chances and yet the lowest actual execution of scoring opportunities? Are they gassed? Are they checked out? I'm not entirely sure. I've seen it enough. And I was talking with our guy Subhuman about it. Him and I watched a game backstage one night and just said, man, this team just firing and firing and firing and they can't score. And it just hasn't happened. So I'm done. You can't score. I'm done trying to make sense of it. I just don't want to be any part of what you fuckers are doing anymore. Peter Mrazek has come back to the squad. We talked about this as well. 3.35 goals against average, 89.1% save percentage. And you can't call him anything more than serviceable. He's allowed 4 goals on 26 shots. Granted, that was a loss to the Capitals. That started their road trip. They've had an interesting little situation now, though, because they had 3 road games. They come back home against Buffalo. Then they go on the road against Carolina, and then they come back home against Vegas. They did beat that Vegas team 3-0. That's kind of when Buffalo was kind of the spark that got things going for them, that kind of broke that dominant non-scoring streak. They play Vegas at home. They win 3-0. Then they go on the road. So they're home road. They lose 4-1. Then they get a rematch against Vegas. Vegas was at home on the road as a favorite, comes back home as a favorite. What do? We play the team that's in the revenge spot. That was Vegas. Vegas kicked the shit out of them. Vegas remains one of the best puck line teams at home, if not the best. And now after that series of road games with a trip home, a trip on the road, a trip back home, and now they're into the 3rd road game in the last 3 games as well, with 1 more on deck, and that will be against Colorado. So we got back-to-back games at elevation for the Red Wings. They're not scoring. I just think this team's tired. They've been outscored 10-4. They're losing those games. It doesn't make sense because you look at some of the talent, unless the talent's just old and washed, and that's the only way it can make sense to me. Now, they are a decent puck line team, so keep your eyes on these guys. We do probably see the split between the 2 games. We talk about if they win the first game, they're definitely a fade in the second game. We've seen that at elevation in the NHL season all season long since Utah's been in the club. But probably what happens here is another puck line spot for this Red Wings team. On the other side of things, Vejmelka will start again, and he's been kind of riding the hot hand situation. He's got back-to-back wins. However, struggling in his own right. So this is the slump buster for Vejmelka. This also made the highest respected sharp better action coming in on this Utah Hockey Club. I'm not laying a -160 on him. Not going to do it. Can't do it. Won't do it. I'm going to look at the fact that Utah doesn't shoot the puck. Albeit they have been shooting it a little bit more. But look, the Red Wings aren't scoring. It's just bottom line, the Red Wings aren't scoring. Flip side of things, we're seeing an average of about 2.8 goals per game for the Utah side of things here. I think what happens is you live bet Detroit when they get down. Because you got a situation where they're a pretty good puck line team, and the Utah Hockey Club are 31-38 against the spread. That's the puck line. They're not good against the puck line. Now, they did beat Tampa 6-4. They got Tampa on deck, and they're going back on the road for that revenge spot for Tampa. The weird thing about that game, though, they were favored. So it's not a full revenge situation that we circle for March 27th against Tampa Bay because they were a favorite. That being said, though, they got to be looking ahead to that Florida swing to get there. These guys are playoff hunt mode. I totally get why they're getting the sharp action out there. You got a Detroit team not scoring with a goaltender that's struggling his ass off right now. You got a team that's on the bubble for a wild card position. All signs point to get this Utah Hockey Club. I got to go to the under, and I got to take it under 6.5. It's not rocket science. I'm taking a team that's not scoring against a team that's low scoring, and they're in the playoff hunt, which means they've got to play defense. You can't let this other team get a run up on you guys because you're about to go on the road. This is an ugly 3-1 type of game. Detroit doesn't find the back of the net, but if you're looking for some juice live late at night, keep your eyes on the scoreboard because they could be a puck line contender. If they go down, that is our number one fade opportunity, KB. If they go down, we might be able to fire on them live. We talked about that here, KB. We talked about them probably a month ago on their prowess of the puck line at home. Man, it's something, right? And they did it against Tampa Bay the other day. I don't know what to make of this Tampa Bay squad. We'll talk about that March 27th game when it gets here. But for me today, boring under in the fact that you can catch a 6.5 here, and it's reasonable juice at -120s, -125s. Got to get involved here. I just don't see how they're going to get there. Vejmelka's been playing decent, as I mentioned, and this team's fighting for the playoffs. So, Gunther, goal opportunity for sure. If anybody's going to score for the Detroit Red Wings side of things, maybe it is Patrick Kane tonight. Tell you a guy that I do like, Hayton. I talked about this guy about a week and a half ago. Take a look at, is it Braden Hayton? Where's his? There it is. No, not that one. Oh, no shit. Change the filter, stupid. Okay, my bad. Let me change the filter. Hayton, shots on goal number. Currently not available for the Utah Hockey Club side of things. And the reason being, there he is. Over 1.5 shots on goal for this dude. I know it's -140. I talked about this guy 2 weeks ago. He's firing the biscuit all over the place. This guy's he's almost been leading the team now in shots over the past 2 weeks or so, 2.5 weeks. And you get him at 1.5. This is the ladder play to Sub's point there with Patrick Kane. You fire on this guy, over 1.5 shots on goal. Parlay him up with Patrick Kane's 2.5 shots on goal. Catch yourself a nice price tag there. Patrick Kane's 2.5 shots on goal, plus +105s, plus +110s. Starting to get a little steam against him. But I'm okay with that. I can still get down with that. Let's see. I just puked my, what's up on Arthur Phils and TFO. Let's see what we got here. Okay, we got that cash. Alabama for that second half got a 7-point third quarter lead. They're down 1 in the fourth, so we're looking pretty good for this Alabama live second half betting. Yeah, what are you going to do? The way I roll it is if I'm tailing somebody else's pick, I'll win it. I'll share it with you guys. And if we win it, we can win it. But can we count that? Nah, we're not trying to count other people's plays. We want to count our own capping in this action. Sending me a text or seeing that my boy played it. That doesn't count. That's not how we're going to bust our slump. It's one thing, It's one thing. But anyways, let's go on. Let's talk about some NBA. All right, we got a couple ways we can play this. We got a couple ways we can go after this action. Let's do this. I don't entirely have them all sorted. I ran about 125 trends today for the NHL, and I got them sorted over like the next 5 days. I ran a bunch. I just haven't gotten a look. It's monotonous, shitty work is what it comes down to. Nobody wants to spend time doing that. But I did it for the NHL because I was like, man, I got to get some of it in place. And then From there, I ran the same thing for the NBA, not quite 125 yet, but I don't have them all fully sorted. So I'm just going to kind of sift through real quick and see if I can find a couple that catch out or stand out to me. The Raptors and the Wizards, it really doesn't. It really doesn't stand out to me. It's a super suspect low line, as you can tell, right? We got a 3. It's dropped, but it's gone to the other side as far as the favorite. So the Wizards started off as a 3-point dog about a week ago for early look ahead lines. They're now a -2. It was high. It was up to a 3. It's come back to a 2. 68% of the bets and 71% of the cash on the Raptors. Big betting came in and did something to sway this monkey bar system right over to the Wizard side of things. And it's interesting because the Wizards have been dog shit all year, but more particularly, they came off that win against Denver in Denver. 12-pointers. They won outright. We called it. Then they went on to lose 4 more. They lost against Portland. They lost against Utah. They came back home. They lost by 15 to Orlando. They go back on the road for the Knicks. Now they're coming back home. And the Raptors are in the same spot. 4 straight losses. They had 5 road games. They come back home for a game. Now they're back on the road again. This is a shit game. My suspicion is there's no defense played in this game. Grady Dick's out. RJ Barrett's out. Chris Boucher's out. Brandon Ingram's out. Still, the only situation for the Wizards are Sadiq Bey, who's been out for a minute. I don't know what I did to my shoulder. There we go. There's a little pop. A little poppage to try to push this thing back into play. So I don't have anything for you guys in this game. I'm sorry. I wish I did. I don't. The Timberwolves and the Pacers. Here's a game with some interest behind it. The interest for me comes down to really one big factor. Look at what this Timberwolves team has been doing. Absolutely dominating squads, top to bottom here. When they've got a certain total on the line, and that's what they have themselves facing with here today. What are there, 4? Was it 4 beatdowns in a row that the Pacers have served the Timberwolves? I get it. You know, road dogs off a 4 or longer game homestand, though. This is the one I wanted to point out. You would think the home cooking leads to heavy bellies and slow feet. That's actually not the case. Road dogs this year off a 4 or longer game homestand have had some momentum. It's a 26-18 edge. Just 4 and 6 in its last 10, but 26-18. I wanted to point that out because it does kind of sway the contrarian play that says, oh, these guys have been home. Now they're on their first road game. Doesn't matter. That's not true. The Timberwolves on the road after covering a spread are 19-8. And when they play hot teams, we talked about this last week, they're 28-8. Should be a Timberwolves spot. And if you need that extra little push to get involved on the Timberwolves tonight, it is the revenge situation. Lost against this team against the spread the last time they played. 38-27. Fine teams in that situation where they didn't cover the spread and they're in a revenge spot next game up. I just don't like the Timberwolves. It's hard to me to get involved and get invested in T-Wolves side of things. Jay Stone says, yeah, I love you guys talking about some hockey out there. Love to see that. Love to see that. Let's go. Jay Stone says, Bamako's played like 5,000 games in a row. It's because Connor Ingram is out. That's all they got. Connor Ingram's out with the illness. Well, it's the substance abuse program. And we wish him all the best as he recovers from whatever that happens to be. I'm going to jump in on this Lakers and Magic game, though. Man, this is an interesting one. This is a very interesting game. Because the last time the Lakers played this Magic team, they were in overlook mode. Scheduling-wise, they lost. And it puts them in a revenge game. The favorite who lost is a favorite the last matchup. We just talked about it in the NHL. Why is it such a big position? Because it wins everywhere. It's 492 and 280. Revenge game. Favorite who lost is a favorite the last time they played these teams. It's 7-3 in its last 10. You know, you want to fade the home dog at the end of a season off a win. That's 144.50 in the fade spot here. And the biggest one we got going, if you're an interconference team, you're the better team and you have less rest for whatever reason, the lines get inflated to the against you in those spots. Interconference, better team with less rest. They're overvaluing the rest position that this other team happens to have. That's the team that's going to be defending the revenge at home in the Orlando Magic. What's that number look like? It's 67-16. It's winning over 81% of the time on the season. And if you left your home stand on a bad note, you recover. This is one of those situations where you're on that 4+ game road home stand. You overlook it because you're getting ready for the road. You're 144-92. Kind of started backwards. Went through some of the numbers and the trends. I got a little excited. 73% of the bets, 69% of the cash are on the Lakers. It's gone up a point from 3.5 to 4.5. You got 2.5 points of movement, 213.5 to 216 on the over, and it's correlated. You got 85% of the bets and 85% of the cash on this one. And the problem for Orlando, the boys are back in town. Unusual. Remember the last time I talked about it? I don't mention it this often, but the last time I talked about it, there was some absolute fuckery that went on. Can't remember who it was. A Kawhi? Can't remember who it was. But it was the assist ladder. Specifically, and it's back in play tonight. The assist ladder is catching unusual betting activity from Luka Doncic. They're hammering this thing up to, I think it was 9.5. Let me see. Yeah. So they laddered him 6.5, 7.5, 8.5, and 9.5. Do with that information what you will, but he's playing. LeBron James, he's expected to play. We obviously got to wait until the absolute last possible fucking second. Bronny's out. If that matters or not. I'm assuming it doesn't matter. Dorian Finney-Smith is doubtful. Jared Vanderbilt is doubtful. What's huge about that, though, is Jared Vanderbilt's been an under points guy for me. I mentioned this like a week ago. You take that guy's under points, and he's pretty much good across the board. Who's probable? Who's been upgraded to probable? Hachimura. Now, probable instead of questionable, instead of out. And so, the boys in the revenge mode, all back, ready to kick the shit out of a team that beat them, and they caught them napping the last time around. Fifth best record against the spread are the Los Angeles Lakers. They've been on a tear, 39-30-1. And you're adding the big boys back? It's a bad spot for the Orlando Magic. I jumped in, -4. I suspect here as we get 10 more minutes till game time, we might even see an extra half a point come clicking in on this thing here. But do with that information what I will. As I mentioned, the over assist has been catching unusual betting activity from Luka. Jared Bush likes the over 3.5 3-pointers for Luka. Gerald Jones has been fire on totals this month. You know, the best part about this Lakers game is you got an overrunning team against an underrunning team, and you got a low number to begin with out there, but it's been bloated a little bit to 216. I think that tells you that the Lakers are going to take pace on these boys. They're going to kick the snot out of them, and it's going to force the Magic to try to hold up. And as they try to hold up, they're going to get exhausted later in the game. It's a big spot for the Magic to come back, for the Lakers to come back and exact their revenge. I like it. The Mavericks are another one of those teams that I mentioned, kind of sort of close to the mustard here. Kind of sort of close to where I wanted to fire on these guys. The over certainly is a big spot when they battle up against the East. Now, this line's gone from 1.5 to 3.5. No official play for me. 52% of the bets, 57% of the cash. It's moved 2 points. The totals moved 3 points, and now 3.5 to 219s. We have 218.5 still out there. We have some 219s out there. 84% of the bets and 84% of the cash. And the big thing for the over and why it's catching steam is because right now, against the East, why is that important? Because we've talked about it before. Teams match up against their division, and when you find trends that lie outside of the division, you either want to play on them or get away from them. We want to play on the Mavericks against the Eastern Conference because they're 17-3 to the over against them boys. Question is, can the Nets keep themselves out of an 85-point game? They're home, so I would think they can. The overs hit 5 straight, and 4 have gone over by almost 20 points a game for that Dallas Mavericks team. I think you could look at the Dallas Mavericks team total over too. My only concern there is if they are sitting up, busting them up 110 to 85, do they keep it rolling? That will be time to tell. But Dallas, you can catch their team total over 110.5. What's the over here? 2. Let me see what the best over is. It's a lean. It's not an official play, just a lean to the over 218.5 as well. A couple numbers for you guys in that Dallas game. I told you I ran a bunch of these trends. Just didn't get them all diced up for NBA. The Sixers and the Pelicans, the reason you're catching the over action on the Sixers is because, again, a similar situation. They've just been an over-dominant team in this position. No action. They are catching action. They are catching cash on their side as well. It's gone from plus 5.5 to plus 3. And you have 60% of the bets and 60% of the cash coming in on the Sixers. So it has come down. It's correlated movement. This total's come down from 231 to 224s now. I would look to the over, nothing. The overs hit 5 straight in Sixers games when they come off of 115 or more scoring points. So when they're scoring, when they get hot, they stay hot. They've allowed 132 points or more in 4 of those 5 games that they've scored 115 or more points. They're 0-5 straight up against the spread in those spots. So there's a little consideration. The over definitely looks like it gets the love, but it's not going to be an official spot for me. 2 games left on the card, though. I am officially invested on this Bulls and Nuggets game. Love the nightclub angles, KV. I talked about those the other day. Some of my favorite. All right, Bulls and Nuggets go from 4s to 3s. 44% of the bets, but 54% of the cash. Respected sharp betting. 10-point differential. Smacking the Bulls. The 10-point differential is the second highest to the Sixers catching that action. And I can't get involved on the Sixers. But I never want to be involved in the highest spot on the card, right? Never a spot where we seem to be profitable. 237.5 moved to 239. And you have 79% of the bets and 81% of the cash on the over. So you have correlated movement. What I like about this one here is we've got an opportunity where we've got the ability to fade the exhausted front in the Nuggets. We talked about it. KB, I use anything. I am with you. I'm with you. I was just laughing because I know a lot of people talk about the Miami Heat and they say, oh, there's a lot of gentlemen's clubs down there. And that's like their sole purpose for taking the Heat. And I'm like, you don't think that involves the Heat? You guys heard me talk about that last week. But no, I'm with you. I'm with you. Especially if they're out late, right? We know that affects them all the time. And you can stay out drinking till 4 a.m. in New York City. I know from experience. The Nuggets, Jokic's out. Well, we'll keep our eyes on the injury report. We'll see exactly what happens with this game. Look, I'm on the Bulls. It's a low number. For a home team, Denver, that doesn't lose at home, this has got suspect written all over it. You know, it's not like they were crushing teams, and they are on their first game back home after a 4-game road trip. So the exhaustion, they just played yesterday against Houston. Last I checked, Texas is pretty fucking flat. They played Golden State, Lakers, Portland, and Houston. They won the first game against Golden State. They won the last game against Houston. They lost the 2 middle ones against the Lakers and Portland. But don't look now. The Bulls rallying. They're on the road again, so they got themselves 6 straight road games, but they have gone 3-1 against the spread. Beating teams. Utah, expected. Utah stinks at home. We talked about that. The Suns, they lost. They rallied back. They smoked the Kings by 12 points as a 7.5-point dog, and they nuked the Lakers. This is why the Lakers are play on tonight, because they got nuked by the Bulls 146-115. 31 points as 10.5-point dogs. When the total's under 241.5, the Bulls are 11-0. It's 11-0-1 for the Chicago Bulls in that spot. Chicago's won 6 of those games outright. We've called them wrong team favorite. I think the wrong team's favorite in this spot as well. I'm jumping in. I like Vuce. I like our guy being back. Vucevic here. He's been struggling to get to that 9.5 rebounds mark, but them tired legs for a big fucking tree trunk like Vucevic. Guy's got almost an 8-foot wingspan. Yeah, they got some guys that can rebound out there. I get it. You know, I certainly wouldn't say that I'm scared or concerned of that, but I would say I like me some Bulls. I love that trend here when they're in that less than 241.5 spot. The rested team feeling good on their road trip. It is a lengthy road trip. I'll give them that. But I mentioned Houston being flat because now that Denver's coming back to elevation, and I think that could negatively affect them being on the second leg of a back-to-back here. All the chips make sense. They should be involved on the Chicago Bulls side of things here, and that's the way I'm going to close up. We're going to take the Bulls. We'll take 3.5s. Let's see what I got on BetStamp. Let's see what BetStamp said. We got to rally, man. We got to get fired back up here. Plus 3.5 to close the show. And you already know. You don't got to go home, but you got to get up out of here. Thank you guys all for checking us out. Make sure you come back in here tomorrow for Sports Money. Hey, we got 5 games on deck. I threw a couple extra looks at you. We'll see what we can slide on over to our premium members. We appreciate all you guys, again, being viewer supported. If you haven't come in and smack that thumbs up like it, take some time to do it now. Going to be spots. Vila Coots likes the Lakers and Bulls. I think they're good money spots here tonight. I think we get this cash, some reasonable numbers for us to cover on top of that. Remember, we're on the Islanders. We're on the Dallas game under. We're on the Utah game under. And again, thanks to everybody, the chat. You guys make it so much fun to come in here. And I love seeing your looks. I love seeing your takes. I love writing them down so that I can play myself some parlays and all that other fun stuff as the night evolves. Good luck with everybody's bets, and I will see you guys back here tomorrow on behalf of the Sports Money crew. Thank you guys for watching. Busy week later on. Let's go slow, but let's build it high. Let it fly.